Pure Z's gummies, designed with melatonin for occasional sleeplessness to help people fall asleep naturally. Learn more at zquill.com.
This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Michelle Martin.
And I'm Steve Inskip.
And I'm Michael Hill. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and later on Morning Edition, Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley lost in big in the South Carolina primary, her home state, on Saturday, but she insists she's not dropping out.
Let people's voices be heard. I think what's really important is to know that the majority of Americans dislike Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
When Haley has to gain and lose by staying in the race, that's in about 15 minutes. 36 and partly cloudy, also partly sunny this morning. Today's forecast, a slim chance of rain through midday, cloudy, then sunny and mid-50s. And then tomorrow, a better chance of rain, mid-50s once again. And Wednesday will reach into the low 60s with some rain. It is 6:51.
WNYC is supported by Mount Sinai, where experts at the Mount Sinai Fuster Heart Hospital are advancing research to take on the #1 killer of both women and men, heart disease. More at mountsinai.org/heartcare. We find a way, Mount Sinai.
On the next Brian Lehrer Show, Monday Morning Politics, as we break down the results of the South Carolina Republican primary and preview the one for both parties in Michigan on Tuesday. Also, with a new Nassau County policy banning girls' sports teams from the county's fields if they have any trans athletes, we'll look at the national state of anti-trans politics in this election year. The Brian Lehrer Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on WNYC.
They say all politics is local, so where's the local news coverage this election year?
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Twilio Segment. Segment brings customer data together for real-time insights so companies know each individual like they are their only customer. Learn more at segment.com. And by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
I'm David Brancaccio. I've been traveling to what are called news deserts in Super Tuesday states to hear about the business models that are failing or informing voters as they make their choices on Tuesday. We begin this week's Democracy in the Desert coverage in Val Verde County, Texas, where Mexico is just across the river. Breakfast in one of the 204 counties in America researchers have labeled a news desert. Here at Skillets in the county seat of Del Rio, there are biscuits smothered in chili. And surprise for a local news desert, one diner reading what turns out to be a daily local newspaper. Well, yes and no. He shows me it's Zócalo Acuña, the paper from Acuña, a city nearby, but over in another country. Zócalo will cover big news from South Texas for Spanish-speaking readers, but it's not big on covering the local races on the ballot on the Texas side next week. And had I been here on a Friday, there is an online news site that puts a paper edition on the stands one day a week.
My son hooked me up to the internet, New York Times, but it's not the same. I want to have something to hold.
Bob Marshall, retired hospital administrator, says he is a big fan of Texas Public Radio out of San Antonio. Still, how do you find out about the local people running for office?
Oh, the woman that cuts my hair. Yeah. She knows everybody and all the gossip, and I know exactly who to vote for by talking to Bibi, the woman who cuts my hair.
Does she fact check her information? That's my only question.
I don't know, but it's been pretty reliable, though.
Val Verde County once had a 7-day-a-week newspaper, the Del Rio News Herald. It folded for good in late 2020. And you need a time machine to understand what's missing now.
We had people covering business. I had people covering what's going on in the economy, who's covering the economic development issues, who's keeping an eye on just what kind of deals is the city council cutting.
Diana Fuentes was editor and publisher of the Del Rio News Herald and left a dozen years ago when its business model was still in fair shape, supported by ads, the paid publication of legal notices, and subscriptions that could pay for extensive local coverage.
There were always issues with the coaches, and are you paying the coach more than you're paying the math teacher? Nowadays, they're not covering that sort of thing anymore.
Fuentes is currently executive director of IRE, the Investigative Reporters and Editors nonprofit.
Who's going to cover the school district in Del Rio?
Well, we've just moved our periodical section to the front of the library to give...
Barbara Galvan is reference librarian at the Val Verde County Library.
We try to keep as many papers as possible, but it's harder and harder to find news locally so far off the beaten path. It is a small town, so we do have a lot of personal interaction with people who are running for local offices. We do get the League of Women Voters handouts for the elections, which is really nice, but they don't cover local politicians. It's only state and federal.
The head of the County Board of Commissioners, Judge Lewis Owens, did try to find investors to save the News Herald.
We were trying to buy the paper itself and everything that went along with it. They had a magazine, they had the newspaper, the building, everything.
His thing was preserving a way to print all the required legal notices.
I just couldn't put it together. I think the building itself would have been well worth it.
Candidates running in next week's primary have their names on big campaign posters placed at intersections around town. And the library does have a decent internet connection if people want to come in to do their voting research ahead of time. Galvan, the librarian, takes no political sides, but she is on the side of context and fact-checking.
You just need to verify, and through multiple sources because, like I said, it's very important to get the pro-con on any subject.
And remember I said there is a weekly local newspaper here? It's part of a nonpartisan online news site updated throughout the day that rose up when the old newspaper closed. Publisher Joel Langton.
This is not a news desert. That's a crock of crap.
We'll address that tomorrow. Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism has a county-by-county breakdown of news deserts across the country, defined as places with very limited access to credible and comprehensive news that connects them with grassroots democracy and also gives them a sense of belonging to a greater community. Links to all of our democracy in the desert coverage this week will soon accumulate at marketplace.org. Markets S&P futures are down slightly. NASDAQ futures are up slightly now. 10-year Treasury rates start the week down 4.25%, the yield does. Stock in a Danish firm called Zealand Pharma up 30% this morning after positive results for a liver disease drug that can also treat obesity.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Odoo, provider of an all-in-one management platform with a suite of fully integrated applications designed to simplify and connect every aspect of business in one software. More at odoo.com. And by Betterment, the automated investing platform that helps make it easy to be invested for the long term. Learn more at betterment.com. Investing involves risk.
AT&T says it's giving a $5 credit to customers most affected by that network outage last Thursday, which left some without mobile service for much of the day. This also affected first responders and 911. Regulators are investigating. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
The $5 credit amounts to the cost of a full day's service, according to AT&T CEO John Stankey. He announced the compensation plan in a letter to employees. But neither he nor the company have said how many customers will get the automatic credit. The Federal Communications Commission is investigating the outage. The company says it was caused by a mistake made during network expansion. It was not a cyber attack. The outage also affected AT&T's FirstNet service, which is its dedicated network for emergency responders. The company says it prioritized restoring that service. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
It's a $5 credit, not cash back, but if you prudently take $5 from elsewhere and invest at 4.37% for 30 years, it'll be worth $18 in the year 2054. Factor in inflation, and that $5 will be worth about $5. I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report. We're from APM, American Public Media.